Hey everyone, welcome to today's Hanapin and Unbounce webinar titled Make Them All Click, Fail-Safe Ways to Convert Your Leads. You're here with myself, Sam Owen. I'm Associate Director of Paid Search at Hanapin Marketing and Head of CRO. You can reach me on Twitter at SamOwenPPC if you want to ask me questions throughout the webinar today, or just send any abuse my way, whatever takes your fancy. And I'm also joined by Ollie Gardner, who's the co-founder of Unbounce. You can reach him on Twitter at Ollie Gardner. He's a fantastic speaker. He was voted the best presenter at HeroConf this year, so I'm really excited to have him on the webinar with me today.
Thank you, Sam.
Thanks, Ollie. If you want to just generally ask questions or discuss today's topic, we have a hashtag, and that's ThinkPPC. You can ask us any questions. You can also use the chat box in the GoToMeeting tool that should be on the right-hand side. So just to start this thing off, we're going to just find out a little bit about you guys and our audience. Quick poll here. How long have you been in online marketing? So for myself, I am just approaching 5 years in online marketing, mostly doing PPC, and I've been working specifically with CRO for a couple of years here. Ollie, how about yourself? How long have you been involved in landing page optimization?
About the same kind of time, about 5 years, going back to when we started Unbounce. So yeah, 5 years.
What was your background before starting Unbounce?
Many things. I ran a usability team for a while. I was a creative director. Way back in the day, I was a programmer.
Okay, cool. So we have the results of our first poll, and it looks like we have a pretty even spread here. So 35% with more than 5 years experience, so a good number of people with a lot of online marketing insight. And then 23% with less than a year, and 32% 1 to 3 years. So it's pretty even spread. We'll try and keep it at a slightly advanced level. I know Ollie's got a ton of interesting slides. And the second thing we're interested in finding out from a landing page perspective is where you currently send most of your traffic. So from your online marketing campaigns, do you send it generally to your homepage, to a deeper page on your site? Do you have dedicated landing pages for each campaign? Are you not really sure? It's kind of a mix? Or finally, as a final option, are you currently not buying any traffic and you're trying to learn what to do before you get started?
So what kind of ratio do you see for this kind of thing, Sam, in your experience?
So it's an interesting one. I'd say having dedicated landing pages for each specific campaign is slightly rarer than I would hope. So most of our clients have specific pages that they send traffic to, but they're not really what I would call dedicated landing pages. So I generally class that as like deeper pages on the site, about 80–90%. And then there's some branded traffic which can go to the homepage, and then there's the occasional very specific campaign where they'll have a landing page that's super optimized specifically for that goal.
It looks like
campaign.
you have a pretty smart crowd here today.
Yep. So excited to share some of our insights with those guys, and it's good that we have a crew who's already well on board with the logic of landing pages. Awesome. Cool. So I'm going to start, and just to let you guys know how this webinar is going to break down a little bit. So I come with more of a PPC background, so what I'm going to look at is kind of the ad side of conversion rate optimization, and then I'm going to pass over to Ollie, who's got a trillion slides to talk about landing page optimization and what makes a great landing page campaign. So for anyone not familiar with Del Boy, he's a very famous character on British television, known for being a bit of a wheeler dealer. And the first question really to ask yourself is just where are you buying your traffic from? So there are all different areas, all different places on the web where you can actually acquire traffic right now, buying from PPC. And obviously, if you're not buying from sources that are going to bring you good quality traffic, that are people who are distracted, who are not really interested in purchasing, what you're going to do is have a lower starting conversion rate. So the first place you can kind of jump in is your analytics and just look at your acquisition numbers. And I've sorted this by source just so you could see for a campaign I've been working on. And you can kind of see the breakdown. So you can see Google there is actually only in 9th place for our e-commerce conversion rate, even though it makes up a majority of our traffic. There are some other sources right near the top, like Yahoo, Ask, Retail Me Not, where our conversion rate's actually a lot better. And there are some others too where, like YouTube, where our traffic is actually pretty terrible. So having this awareness, and Ollie's going to come and talk a lot about context in regards to the landing page, but having this awareness from the start about where your traffic's coming from and the mindset that they're bringing when they come to your landing pages is hugely important. So what you want to do is help that traffic that isn't converting or that doesn't convert. So think of it in this way. If they're not clicking on your ad, if you have really low click-through rates, your ad is probably not very compelling. You want to do a lot of ad testing, try and get people to your site. If you can bring them to your site, but they're not converting, what's probably happening is there's a disconnect there. So they're losing some kind of context between hitting the ad and seeing your page. Chances are, unless it's somewhere like Facebook, where people might occasionally accidentally click an ad, people click your ad for a reason. And what happens is as soon as they get to your landing page, they don't see that same offer, that same item that's connected them to your ad, and they bail. So you want to think about different ways you can change your offer, and I'll come on to a couple in a second, but that could be, hey, we really want PPC, PPC experts to come to PPC Hero and to connect with us and talk to us. And what we're trying to do is sell them a service. But actually, these people have clicked on our ad because they're interested in learning more about PPC. So maybe we should direct them to HeroConf, which is our PPC conference. Maybe we should direct them to white papers or to webinars like this. And that brings me kind of around to one of my philosophies here in terms of building out my campaigns, which is having an aware account structure. So we looked at the traffic sources that are available. They're going to be pretty different in terms of user awareness because some of them are more display oriented, where we're interrupting people during their regular search and they're maybe a little curious about what our product is. Some of them are going to be very focused, like they're searching for our brand term plus a product name. They're probably right in the mindset to buy. So at the top of this awareness curve is people who are super aware. And what you want to do with those guys is keep things really simple and easy. So if someone's searching for buy Dell laptop, you're going to send them right into a Dell laptop page where the only thing they really see is click here to buy and maybe compare a couple of laptops. And then as we move down, so you might want to share information about why a particular product is useful. As people are kind of half aware, maybe they're aware of like they need a new laptop, but they're not really aware of like, hey, I want to go to Dell or I want to go to Apple to buy this laptop. And then right at the kind of the start of the funnel with people maybe click a display ad because it's colorful, they might not even have any idea at all. They might be completely unaware that they need your product. So you can use stories and examples to illustrate people who are in similar situations to them. Maybe it's just they're not very good at learning. And you can use a story and a testimonial that says, hey, I bought a laptop and all of a sudden I could keep notes really easily. And so that's kind of a way to think about buying your PPC traffic. So from here, I'm going to share with you a really quick example of how I might structure this for either Hanapin or Unbounce if we were building out PPC accounts. So my low awareness group, this is people who might be searching for something like, what is PPC? Do I need PPC? What are landing pages? Do I need landing pages? And I would accompany that campaign with ads and landing pages that had a relevant goal. So maybe I would have an introduction to PPC or CRO ebook that was there, because I'm not going to instantly sell a PPC service to those people, or they might not be ready to buy a landing page, but I still want to get them in my funnel. I still want them to engage with me. If they're problem aware, so they understand that PPC is a service that they want, but they don't really understand some other events around it, maybe how to hire a PPC agency. From the Unbound side of it, maybe they know that landing pages are a good thing, but they don't know anything else about it. We could get them to register for a webinar which is specifically relevant to that problem. And then for super high aware people, so let's say someone was typing into Google hire Hanapin Marketing or get Unbounce account, we'd want to send them right through to a very specific dedicated landing page that talks about the free trial for Unbounce or a Hanapin Solutions blueprint. So that's kind of how we think about structuring our PPC accounts. It's very much to do with where users are in our awareness funnel. And this is really great for increasing the conversion rates we see from our campaigns. It's not trying to be too optimistic that people who don't really know much about what's going on are going to convert straight away and buy your product, because they're not ready to. So if you can structure your campaigns along those awareness levels, it's going to help you out a ton. Now, a little more technical and tactical, we're going to dive in here. So there's a few things you can do. So you can optimize your ads for conversions. This isn't always the ideal. So I know a few of you out there, probably PPC experts, who don't do this. I don't always do this because you might want to just bring in more traffic and have a greater overall number of conversions. But this is out there. Another metric I really like to use is impressions until conversion. So that cuts through between how many ads I show and how many conversions I get. And it kind of takes a balance of click-through rate and conversion rate. I think some other people like to use conversions per 1,000 impressions. It's essentially the same metric, but with a different outcome. And then one other thing you'll want to do is respect the differences in your traffic. So we talked about this with campaign sources. If we're directly working in AdWords, there are a whole host of different ways we can adjust our bids and set up our campaigns that will allow us to target people better in a better context. So there's day parting, there's location targeting, there are device adjustments, and we can also write mobile preferred ads and have mobile preferred site links. And I'm going to show you a couple of examples here. So the first one is day parting or ad scheduling. So if you go into your campaign settings and hit ad schedule, and then click on the more information button that appears, you'll bring up, and this is set for day of the week rather than hour and day. You'll bring up and see what your conversion rates are, and also see how much you're paying CPA and how many conversions you're getting on each day. So all I've done is quickly sort this by my conversion rate, and you can see that actually Saturday, Thursday, and Tuesday, for some reason, are having much stronger conversion rates than Friday, Monday, Wednesday, and Sunday. So there's something behind that we need to unpack. We need to figure out why. We need to ask our customers what's going on these days. We need to do a little more digging into the analytics. But from a very simple starting point, we know that we can actually bid up this traffic and focus more of our effort on these days because people are converting at a higher rate. And similarly, we could bid down for the other days. The next one we can do is look at locations. So if you go into the exact same tab, but click over to locations and see what triggered your ad. And here's just a really simple example. So you can see that actually, compared to the dimensions tab, which is where I always used to look for this information, there's a whole ton of different ways I can segment my data now in terms of location. So if you have like an airport shuttle service, airport is down there. If you're selling to university bookstores, you can see that university is an option. One that I thought was kind of interesting was segmenting by congressional district. And then what I could do is, if I was trying to look a little more into my data, is cross-reference this against a list of which district had gone Democrat and which district had gone Republican, and see if there's anything along those lines that could be affecting like the quality of my traffic coming in. So I think that there's lots of really interesting ways to explore this data. Obviously, if any of you on the webinar today are fundraisers for either political party, this could be like a huge opportunity to target the right users in the first place before getting them to a very dedicated specific landing page. And the next thing, so I always kind of harp on about mobile preferred ads. One thing that was really interesting at HeroConf was Brad Geddes had a study put together which said that only 3% of all ads in AdWords accounts right now are set up for mobile preferred. And it should really be more like 60-40. So there's going to be a few users out there who don't advertise to mobile customers. But in general, you're going to want to make sure that if you're advertising to both, you have a specific mobile ad copy written. And here's just an example of why. When we're using, so this is 5 sets of ad copy, as you can see on the left here, A, B, C, D, and E. And when we're checking our data for our overall metrics, we're actually seeing that ad A is performing the best. But if we segment that and break it down, we can see that ad A isn't performing best for either computers or mobile traffic. And that means that we really need to segment out our ads, because this happens the same way for conversion rates. Some message really appeals to mobile users and some messaging really appeals to computer users, and it's not always going to be a complete overlap between what those are. And here's just a very simple example of why. So here's 2 ads for you guys to look at. They're both for a fictional pizza parlor that I started up. The first ad says the best pizza in all of town, order online and get 50% off. The second ad says the best pizza in all of town, call now to get 50% off your order. And you can see that targeting one to mobile and one to desktop users is probably going to have a pretty big swing on your conversion rates. So one thing in particular to focus on is making sure that you have some way to track calls, and not just calls, but any other conversion types you might get on your site. So that could be like live chats, it could be clicks of a download button that are separate from your form. And the reason for that is because conversion rates are obviously going to differ depending on the types of users you have, who prefers to call, who prefers to order online. And there's a few different ways we can track this, right? So there's the AdWords call extensions, and making sure that you associate a Google forwarded phone number for reporting on these. Now, the downside of call extensions is they won't track phone calls from your site. They'll only track phone calls directly from people searching on Google. A nice thing that's been added is Google giving you the ability to track direct clicks on phone numbers on your mobile site now. So if you go into tools and conversions in your AdWords account, you can click on call on site and set up a bit of code there, and it will tell you the amount of people who've clicked directly on a phone number once coming to your mobile landing page, and you can throw those in with your conversions. Particularly useful for an example like a pizza place or maybe a plumber or an electrician, where 90% of people just want to call up and speak to you and talk about getting a quote or ordering a pizza, etc. And finally, if you want to make sure you have complete coverage for knowing what's happening with these other metrics, there are third-party call tracking software providers out there. If by phone, Mongoose Metrics, CallRail are just 3 examples, but there's plenty of them out there. What they'll do is give you a little bit of code that you can place typically on your website, and then also a custom URL to add to your AdWords destination URLs, and they'll fire off a specific phone number for everyone who lands on the site based on the keyword or the campaign that they've come in from. So you can start to track back and attribute, hey, actually this new landing page from these new keywords is getting a ton of phone calls, and it's probably really valuable to me. Ollie, can I just jump in and ask you, so with landing page best practices, how do you feel about, so I know one thing we're going to come on to is making sure that the number of conversion options are kept pretty limited. How do you feel about phone numbers and online buttons?
Yeah, great question. It depends on how you run your business, really. I mean, if some people put a phone number on a page to add some level of trust, right? There are actual humans behind our business. There's someone you can speak to. But if you don't have a sales team or someone that's set up to actually push that person down your funnel, then the phone number is not that useful. Sometimes it's a good idea to run a test where one page has a form, one has a phone number, because if you want people to call, you need to dedicate your entire call to action to that, right? Having a form, that's going to be the dominant part of your page. So yeah, and if you have it on different pages, then you can figure out which mechanism is giving you the highest conversions, basically. But you mentioned live chat. I like to use live chat just as a research tool, find out why people aren't converting, and then you implement changes to your page, and then you can remove that to get rid of the distraction once you actually improved your page.
So do you talk to the the salespeople running the live chat, and give them a list of kind of CRO questions for them to ask?
Yeah, like what is preventing you from signing up today, or sometimes maybe on your confirmation page you can also have live chat and say, why did you convert? Right? What was it that convinced you to sign up today? That's really valuable information too. So then you can focus on enhancing that type of thing, so more people will convert.
Do you have any tool recommendations, any particular live chats or post-conversion feedback options that have worked well for you guys?
I've used Olark in the past. That's a good live chat tool. There's also live chat, I think. So olark.com or livechat.com, I believe.
Very cool. So I'm just going to show you a little bit of what annoys me when I'm looking at ads and actually deciding to click them. So a quick fact about me is that I love football. The World Cup's going on right now, and it's kind of paining me to be on this webinar rather than trying to secretly watch from my cubicle. But I was on the BBC website and I saw this ad for Dishworld, and I could see that there's kind of football going on. I can see watch instantly, and my brain's pretty much tweaked, right? I'm looking for information about football. I'm seeing an ad that seems to suggest that I can watch football online, and it's not that expensive. There's no satellite dish needed. So I'm like, all right, this is one of the first display ads that I'm going to click on in a long time. And then I get to this landing page, and I just pretty much feel like this. I was told there would be football, and there's no football. There's just there's no continuity from the ad to the landing page with the message. So Ollie's going to talk about this a lot, but from the PPC point of view, if you have your landing pages already, go and look at your ads and make sure, hey, wait a second, there's the context that the user is going to click this ad in, and the thing that we're kind of hinting at and promising, it's just nowhere to be found. And so I looked throughout the site just trying to find information because I was still actually interested in this product. I looked somewhere else, and like 4 or 5 clicks later, I came up with a page that had this about 4 scrolls down the page, which is a little bit about sports TV. So that's kind of how I felt. Oh, there it is. Great. They'd already kind of lost me, whereas they may have been able to sell it to me. Was I more interested up front? And like I said, so that's an image ad, but the exact same thing happens with your text ads. People are searching for something, you promise them something with your text ad, and then all of a sudden they're really disappointed because they're not getting what they were promised. And context is kind of the key here. So this is a display placement report where I've actually gone in to look at the specifics of the landing page or the web pages that my ads are showing on. And I just wanted to give you an example from the PPC Hero account where I can go in and find context within this report. So our ads are showing on Search Engine Journal, which is a big search engine-based blog. And there's an article about getting a Google AdWords certification. So I can instantly think, hey, I should put ads together that talk about the AdWords certification. And maybe it's come and read our white paper about how to pass your AdWords exam. Maybe it's come and watch our webinar about the AdWords exam, but getting people into our funnel and interested in Hanapin and PPC Hero. Finally, I'm going to talk really quickly through remarketing here. So make sure you're doing remarketing and you're being smart about it. This is an example from 3 or 4 accounts I pulled and just grabbed all the data together. Remarketing is currently outperforming our search campaigns for conversion rates. And as we've been talking about all the different types of conversions we're going to target, we need to remember that not all visitors are necessarily ready to commit on their first visit as much as Ollie would love them to, and it's probably way better than me at getting them to. But getting back in front of them with display, dynamic, or remarketing for search is one of the most powerful tools we have in PPC to get them back from the ad side of it. And here's an example of targeting at the right time with remarketing too. So with HeroConf, we know that people who registered last year are probably our key demographic for coming to HeroConf next year. So obviously they're going to be part of an email campaign. They'll probably have followed us on Twitter or they'll hear about it some way. But what we don't want to do is bother them throughout the entire year about HeroConf because it's a once a year event, right? So we need to set up a custom remarketing list here. So we have anyone who's in our all-time HeroConf registrants, but also make sure they're definitely not in any HeroConf registrants from the past 270 days, because about 90 days before HeroConf, we get most of our registrations in. So that's just the way you can start to think about remarketing not being annoying, showing your message at the right time, making sure you're capturing people who are ready to convert and not people who are going to be annoyed and off-put by your marketing efforts. And the same thing happens with frequency capping. So if you're showing your ad everywhere to everyone all the time, they might start to get a little kind of annoyed at what you're doing. There is a reach and frequency report from within your dimensions tab, and you can pull this information in. So you can see in this case, actually we're getting a lot of our conversions from people who are seeing our ad a lot of times. So what that might tell me is, hey, maybe I'll put together a load of different ads with different themes, so it's not the same one boring ad, but I still need them to see that ad a lot of times. or see an ad of mine a lot of times to convert. And finally, give people a reason to come back with your remarketing. So they've left for a reason. Maybe you can try and put like a more compelling offer, put a different landing page together that's going to speak to them, the fact they already know about your product. Keep it simple. Again, their awareness level has changed. So you're probably going to want a different ad and a different landing page. And in this case, you can see I've offered a specific code to get 20% off, which I wasn't offering on my previous ads. Cool, so that's me running through the PPC side of things. I'm going to hand it over to Ollie, who has about 1 million slides on landing page design. So just a sec here.
Okay. So yeah, so I'm going to talk about the post-click experience. You know, what happens after people click on your ad. So let's take a look at this next page. It's pretty disgusting. How did I find this page? Well, this is how I found the page. I actually feel bad for this guy. He's actually a conversion rate optimization expert. He's positioned next to this terrible page. And this is more common than you think. This is happening all the time, every day. People are clicking on ads and getting these terrible experiences, which makes them not want to click on ads. So very quickly, because you know, a good percentage of you are using dedicated landing pages, but for everyone else, very quickly, what is a dedicated landing page? Okay, so it's very simple. You can see the general layout here. Now, the headline is your unique selling proposition. This is what is unique about you. This is what's important about your page, describing what it does. Your hero shot is the primary visual representation of your product or your service. So this could be a video or a photo. Then we go into something that talks about why I should care about your landing page, some evidence that backs up your claims, and then your single focus call to action. Okay, so that's a simple landing page. Let's go and check out some of these experiences and see what they're like. Okay, so if I'm looking for project management software for teams, here's a great ad. Project management software, it matches the search query. So I'm going to click on this. And this is the experience. This is a homepage. I'm going to zoom in on this. Atlassian, they're a great company. This is not a good experience. Reason being, there are 130 links on this page. So there's so many things you can do here. And so that means the attention ratio is 130 to 1, which means there are 129 things competing with your campaign goal. So attention ratio is the ratio of things you can do on a page to the number of things you should be doing. Every campaign has one goal, you know, whether it's to get someone to sign up for a webinar, download an ebook, join your blog subscriber list, or start a trial of your software. So there's only one goal for your campaign. So I imagine most of you brush your teeth occasionally. So imagine this scenario. It's in the morning, you're brushing your teeth and you run out of toothpaste. Now you have a mission. So this is your search query. I need this kind of specific toothpaste. So let's say, if you can see my mouse, this is the kind of toothpaste we need. By the time I get here to the supermarket, now I'm overwhelmed. I've got all these options. Was it green? Was it blue? Was it red? Was it Colgate? Was it Crest? I don't really know at this point, you know. So the chances are I'm just going to grab the nearest thing to me. And at that point, you've lost a customer. And that's because your homepage or a lot of internal pages, they're not designed for campaign traffic. They're designed for exploration. I mean, here, you know, I can go over here, catch a train there, maybe make a phone call. I can do something else over here. That's what your website's for. It's not, you know, that you need a page that's dedicated specifically to the action you're asking someone to perform. So let's go back and look at this again. Here's the homepage experience. And if we remove all of this distraction, okay, now we have a delightful experience. Look what we've got here. Think back to those 5 essential elements. We've got our headline, a benefit-driven description here, a single call to action. Our hero shot here is a video, a tour of a demo of the product, and then we have our social proof down here. So this is a perfect landing page at this point, structurally. Okay, the attention ratio is 1 to 1. The benefit of this, actually, I'm going to run through a test example first. So this is an ebook download page, very common. Again, it has the 5 elements. But down here, it has this other helpful stuff. This is user-centered design. It's like Amazon model. You know, if you like this book, you'll like these things as well. So that's really helpful. Thank you. But that's a distraction. The attention ratio here is 6:1. Conversion rate, pretty good, 48%. Test against this one, just removing those links at the bottom. A conversion rate lift of 31%, just simply by removing those elements. It's dead easy. Okay, here you can see the results there. This ran for about 2 weeks, has a high confidence, so we know this is, this is a winning test. Another example, this is just a register for a demo. Right, there are 4 options, different dates. Change it to 3 options. 78% more people are doing this just by giving one less option. There's a very famous test. This was done in a supermarket where there was a stall where you can test different types of jam. 24 options versus 6. In the case where there are 6, 10 times as many people went on to buy jam because they're not overwhelmed by this choice. So as attention ratio goes down, your conversion rates go up, and this happens all the time. Like every test I do based on this, it works. And the reason for this is that your landing page is basically a yes/no question. There's only one thing to do, so if people don't do it, you know that your campaign message has failed, right? If people go to somewhere on your website, they could be, zooming around, and you don't know why they haven't converted because they've gone somewhere else on your website. With a landing page, you know that it's that page that caused the problem, right? That's the main benefit of having a dedicated landing page. So let's go back and search again. This time, it's not quite as good a match on the headline, but this is a Google ad. They invented AdWords, so surely they know how to do a good, well-matched landing page. No. Look at this again. Business tools for teams. Work better together. If you look on this page, there are 3 magic words here. Project management software. They don't appear on this page anywhere. They broke the scent trail. I had a query in my mind, I typed it, I saw an ad, and then it's not on the page. You're wasting my time. It's disrespectful. So let's look at another one. Free help desk software. So that's what I want in my brain. The number 1 free help desk tool. Free help desk software. It's matched what I was looking for. That's great message match. So let's go back to the Atlassian example again. The project management software. And this is what we get here. There's no message match here. It doesn't match. Simply by adding that in there, this is now an amazing landing page. What that headline does, it says, oh, I'm in the right place. This is great. This is exactly what I was looking for. Now I'm going to spend the time reading all of this. I'll probably watch the video because I know you can solve my problem. It's that simple, just by matching the headline and your ad. It's like getting your foot in the door for an elevator pitch or something. If you can get inside the elevator, you get to convince someone that, what you're doing is valuable. So that's the power of message match. It can also improve your quality score. Reason being that, well, the ad bot is going to see this match, and it's going to see that it's connected to the ad, but also the higher conversion rates you get from people having this good experience, the lower your cost per click is going to be, and sometimes your quality score can go up as well. So there's a big benefit from setting up a strong match there. Let's look at a B2C example, because not everybody's doing B2B. The sons, husbands, and boyfriends out there have probably experienced this search query at some point. So the 2 things going on here. I need flowers, but more importantly, there's an urgency here. I need them next day. So this is a perfect ad for this. Next day flower deliveries, and there's a discount as well. So this is exactly what I want. I click on this, and this is just awful. There's not a mention of next day anywhere here. What it does say is same day. So if I happen to see that, then I'm like, oh, okay, I don't have to do it today. Maybe I'll come back tomorrow and do it. But tomorrow when I search, I'll get a different ad, and then you've lost a customer, right? And award-winning flowers, I don't care about that. I just need flowers tomorrow. 0 mention of next day delivery. And it's very me. We won awards. That's probably the award they got. So I'm not going to convert there. So here's the simple message. Never start a marketing campaign without a dedicated landing page. And if you struggle to remember that, here's a very simple acronym. You know, it's maybe, I'll test you at the end to see if you can remember what it actually stands for. So take a look at this landing page. Okay, I'm going to this is a very long page. What I'm going to do now, like first impressions, it's okay designed, it's fairly clean, but okay, this is a test I like to do, which talks, which can uncover the clarity in your page. So I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. So if you're watching the World Cup right now, sorry, you're going to have to close your eyes. What I'm going to do, I'm going to behave like, an impatient web visitor, someone who doesn't have much time on their hands. What they do, they scan your page. We know this. They scan your page. They read the headlines. They read all the things that stand out to them. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to act like that person. I'm going to go through this page and see what, jumps out to me. So close your eyes as I read this to you. Okay. Amplify your marketing. What you get. We've done the work for you. Relevant, up-to-date content. Sign up today. Engaging, narrated video. Cost-effective. Sign up today. Task exclusive brands, add-ons, get started, availability is limited, success made simple, submit. Does anybody have a clue what this page is about, what this company does? Because I don't. This is something you can do on your pages. Very simple. Print it out and get somebody else, get a friend or colleague. I'm not a colleague because they know what you do, and get them to quickly read out what stands out on the page. And doing this out loud really gives you a strong sense of, what you're actually communicating to people. It's a very simple test to do. Contrast it with this page. Okay, so I'll do the same thing. Need help designing and running landing pages? Get higher conversion rates, improve results on your advertising, get started in no time. We do all the work. I want help with my landing pages. I need help with landing pages. I know what this is about, right? It's very, very clear. So make sure all the scannable points on your page are helping communicate your message. So that's clarity. But what if you are focusing on the wrong things? Look at these words. These are stop words. These are words that people use all the time. Look at this wonderful Photoshop job. This is what happens. This is incongruence. This is when you have an element on your page that's in opposition to your campaign goal. Your CTA is your call to action is very precious. So if you put stop words close to it, you're going to see a decrease in conversion. This is kind of what I mean. So here's a form. It's very simple. And now it says 100% privacy. We will never spam you. I wasn't expecting you to spam me. But now I'm just about to click here, and I'm thinking about spam. That's a word you don't want people to think about at that point. And this is a very common statement to make. Almost 19% less people, because that word's in their face. Here's another example. Okay, look below the CTA here, the button. It's a little hard to read. So it says, get more done, no gimmicks, no credit card. I haven't thought of the word gimmicks in a decade, maybe. Now I'm thinking about gimmicks. What is this company like? Why are they talking about gimmicks? Removing that word, a 25% lift in conversions. So really pay attention to your page. It's another good test. The same example. Just read your page out loud, and if you hear any of these stop words, rewrite them or remove them. So like I said, congruence this is about aligning everything on your page. And here's an exercise you can do. Here's another landing page. It's pretty nice, but how does it communicate? So this is what you do. You come up with a document like this, and you define all of the elements on your page. So your headline, subhead, hero shot. These are all the things we have. Then you add all the content in here. What this does is it removes the design from your communication. So now we're just talking about the copy. And what you do is your campaign goal is to download a white paper on this page. So you look at all of the copy here, and then you score it. If it doesn't align with your campaign goal, you give it a 0. If it kind of aligns, you give it a 1. If it's in full alignment, you give it a 2. So look at this. Ocean of data instantly becomes security intelligence. That's not even proper English. And it says nothing about whitepaper, so that gets a 0. Whitepaper download, the next generation firewall is here. This is mixed. I mean, it's saying whitepaper download, but then it talks about probably some brand thing. So that would get a 1. Out of 24, this page scored 3. So you need to separate your copy from your design and really look about what you're communicating. And this is kind of an example of being greedy. You're like, well, I'm going to give a white paper away, but I want to just throw brand messaging at you. It's not the right way to do it. If you have a campaign goal, stick to it. We need to make experiences easy for people. So as Sam mentioned, I'm going to talk about context, and context can really, really help with conversion. This, I'm going to step into a different click source here. This is a press release. I have alerts set up for the term landing pages, so I came across this. This is a platform that's just added landing pages to their solution. Okay, so they know all about landing pages, and they have one link. I've blurred things out here so you can't see who it is. There's one link on this page to go away and talk about the company and their new solution. And this is where it goes. This is the single worst landing experience I've ever seen. Look at this page. I'll zoom in a little bit. Okay, so there's no mention. Well, actually, why is this the worst landing experience? That's a selfie of me in a hotel room the other night, shooting myself in the face after seeing this page. So the attention ratio is 163 to 1, and that's when I stopped counting. There's massive multi-level navigation, and there's just so much going on this page. The image slider at the top. Now, this has been proven in A/B tests time and again. Having image sliders can lower conversions because you're seeing something you're interested in, and then whoop, it goes away. Right? It's not a good experience. This one took 26 seconds to load. It was just white blank space. And I verified this on different computers with different internet connections. It's unforgivable. And more importantly, it doesn't mention landing pages. If that's your solution and that's what you're offering, you have to talk about that. And if someone actually, this is amazing, if someone actually did decide to sign up for this, here's the form they get. Now, aside from being, kind of ugly, it's got this captcha at the bottom. We all hate these, right? You have to look at some squiggly word and type it in to proceed. And then that's selfish design. What that's designed to do is kind of get rid of spammy entries, but that's very selfish. You're not helping me. You're just helping yourself. Find another way to deal with that. Make my job easier. This one is terrible, though. What you have to do, look at these letters, figure out the color of this letter, and then type in the color of the letter. Now here, other than being a really bad and hard experience, consider this. That's a big demographic that is suddenly probably not going to convert on this page. So just, that's friction. Again, that's incongruent. It's fighting against my campaign goal because it's putting some friction in there. Now this is how this should work. Conversation context is when you're having an ad doesn't have much context, right? You've just done a search, you've clicked on your ad. But what if you're doing different marketing, so email marketing, or you're linking from a blog post or a press release there? You're having more of a conversation. So you have to change the style of communication on your landing page. Now, here's an example. This is an online course that I put together about landing pages. It's off-brand. It has its own brand. It doesn't say anything about Unbounce here, apart from this small call to action at the top. So brought to you by Unbounce, the landing page builder for marketers. Hopefully this piques someone's interest because they're learning about landing pages here. The context is they've had a lot of personal emails from me. They've been reading this content I wrote, and my face is on this page a little bit further down here. So that's the context. They're very familiar with me at this point. This is the landing page it got sent to. This is a generic, this is from our homepage. This is generic brand-based headline. It's not based on the goal of this kind of campaign. So here's the link again. Here's a different page. See what's happening here. The context is being explained. This is where I came from. This is where I'm going. So you're softening that experience a little bit. And then, so that's the co-branding. Then there's a contextual welcome. How's the landing page course going? It's going amazing, right? So I'm talking about what you're just going through and now ready to build some high converting landing pages. Yes, of course I am. And there's author reinforcement. So there's me down there with a personal message, and they've been seeing this photo the whole way through. So there's a lot of contextual references here. And you can see here, 77% increase in conversions by having that conversation. And this is my most successful strategy. Every time I do a test based on this, it wins really, really well. So consider the context at all times. The last thing I'll talk about is how this relates to trust, because you need these trust elements on your page as well. So I'm going to talk about testimonials. On this page, the goal is to get to sell your motorbike, right? This is the service here is that they will sell your bike for you. Look at these testimonials. Okay, what do you see here? I see grandmother, magician, grandmother who likes to play golf. That's what I'm seeing here. I do not believe this at all. You're better off not putting testimonials in there if they look in any way fake. Here's some ways that you can use testimonials, and I'll make my point in a minute, but here's a couple of examples. So video versus text, different styles. Here's a text testimonial we used to have on our homepage. Replaced it with the same guy, but it's a kind of an interview style testimonial video. 25% increase in conversions. Here's an ebook landing page. This has 4 testimonials here. Now in this one, 2 of them were just moved up above the CTA or closer to the book, and 65% more download. Now I don't know if that's because my face is closer to the book or not, but my point being here, actually let's go back to this. How can we make these ones better? I kind of believe that. There's someone on a bike. This one I definitely believe, right? It's an amateur photo taken in someone's driveway with a guy with his bike. I believe this guy maybe sold his bike. Maybe not that one, but definitely this. I trust that. The important thing to know here is that the trust signals on your page are the most subjective element. They're the thing that most people are either going to believe or not. So the point of all those tests is that you really have to test everything about your testimonials. Sometimes having testimonials, it just damages things. If you're doing branded search, people already have a little bit of trust in you. So flooding the page with testimonials might not be necessary. I've run tests where from branded search where adding them actually damage conversions. Whereas if you take some of the information from your testimonial and just write it out in very clear bullet points, that can help. So this is the lesson here. With trust things, you really, really have to do strong A/B tests to know whether they're helping or not. Okay, that's me. Sam, I'll let you talk about this next poll question.
Cool, thanks for that whirlwind of landing page information, Ollie. So we just have a final offer for you guys out there. If you're interested in having a free account assessment from us at Hanapin, for any accounts spending more than $20,000 a month, hit A. If you're interested in getting 50% off Unbounce for 3 months, following an initial 30-day free trial, hit B, and I definitely recommend that. It's a tool we use and love here at Hanapin. If you're not really interested right now, just hit no thanks. But if you'd like both, then that's option D for you. Cool. So I'm going to jump forward onto Q&A. Ollie, if you want to hit the next slide.
Did that poll actually come up?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so
Ollie, you have to hit for the live Q&A.
What do I need to pass back to you? What do we need to do?
Oh, just literally click on the slide.
Okay, right. Okay, so do you have any questions coming in?
Yeah, we have an absolute ton here. We might not be able to get to everyone's questions, actually, so apologies if we don't get to yours. Let's see here. So this is a question specifically for you, Ollie, about hotel landing pages Are there any specific ideas? So users like to look at things like amenities, property photos, um, dates available, etc. But
Hmm.
just more generally, I think I want to phrase this for, because I have this for some of my PPC campaigns. Any products where people really have to do like a lot of research for them, what's your recommendation there? Is it still the simple landing pages, or are there other things that we can do?
Yeah, so going back to the point of the essential elements, all that means is you might need a lot of things on your page, but you absolutely need those five. But yeah, if there's some complexity or research required, that's where you get into a longer page. The more content you have on your page is based on the complexity of your offer. Um, and in the case of something like hotels, that's an example where you might want to have live chat. So someone, they may have a little bit of urgency there. You're like, I want to book something for a specific date. So being able to have a chat with someone might be a really, really good way of keeping them on your page. Um, yeah, and I think most of the time, for that example as well, for hotels, people really want to see reviews. Like that's probably the number one thing people want to see. So, other than location and photos of the property, but yeah, I would say, really focus on reviews at that point.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds like good advice. There's a couple of questions for me here. So, someone with eagle eyes caught that I had on my analytics group of different traffic sources. I had one that said Facebook.com and I had one that said Facebook, and was just asking if those were different or not. The reason that's different, so Facebook.com will count as a referrer. So that's people directly clicking through from Facebook. Where it says Facebook, that's because I've given it a custom URL tag through the Google Analytics URL builder, and I've set my campaign source as Facebook and not Facebook.com. So that's why that appears like that, just if you're interested from a technical point of view. But what's really interesting is that they performed really differently, and that's because one is a natural kind of referral from Facebook, and the other is through a PPC campaign. So Ollie, I'll have a technical question for you too. So someone was asking if landing pages should have a no index, no follow command, if that's important or if it doesn't really matter.
Sorry, can you repeat that one?
Yeah, sorry. So someone was asking if landing pages should be kind of tucked away and no index, no
Right, right.
followed, or if it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, depends what you're doing. I'd say for PPC, definitely no index it because you don't want organic traffic coming in there and messing with your analytics, right? Because if you're getting conversions coming from a different source, it's gonna mess with your data, and you're not really gonna get the right picture from your PPC. So if you're doing evergreen content for other things, have two different landing pages. Have one that's indexed for that kind of thing, but for your campaign specific targeting, yeah, you don't want to flood that with different traffic sources. You don't want social coming in there. You don't want email coming in there. Just keep that landing page just for your PPC.
Very cool. So someone reached out and asked me, uh, saying that Google had asked them or had told them to combine their search and display advertising into one campaign. Um, I definitely don't recommend doing that, and most of the reasons have kind of been discussed on the webinar today. So not only are users pretty much in a different frame of mind and at a different awareness level, because you have people searching who are actively engaging and looking for your product versus people on display who maybe catch it and are somewhat interested. Um, Ads will perform differently, landing pages will perform differently depending on message, and the structure of how you lay those campaigns out is probably going to be want to be pretty different too. So don't combine them if you have time to obviously manage both a search and display campaign. And the other side of it is you can set budgets. So if you know that your search campaign is converting at a really high rate, you might want to exhaust the budget on search before you start running display. And if you have them together, then it becomes a little trickier to manage. So here's the next one. Well, this is a very specific Unbounce question, but
Okay.
someone said they just started using Unbounce and was wondering if there are any of the specific templates that work best for a first-time user.
Yeah, I mean, it's too difficult. It's difficult to say, really. I mean, because every use is so different. Um, if we have some industry-based ones, so they're obviously very useful if they apply to you. Um, but if you're just getting started, and let's say you're doing lead gen, there are some simple templates in there that might be better for you that are not so design heavy, so it's easier for you to brand them. But yeah, without specifically knowing, I mean, I'd suggest emailing me, and there's my email address, so we could talk about that a bit more in detail based on what your goal is.
And we have a question that I think both of us can have a stab at answering here. But what do you do if you have a client who refuses custom landing pages for campaigns? Is there like a next best place to go to? What what do you recommend doing there, Ollie?
Yeah, that's a problem a lot of consultants or agencies will have. Um, it's so tough. It's the kind of thing where you have to push hard to at least have one go at doing it, so they can see, you know, if there's an improvement in conversion rate, and then they'll be convinced, and you'll be good to go. But yeah, it's some people are just really stubborn, and they won't go there. But yeah, there are case studies available that demonstrate the benefit. Sometimes you just have to, or there's a if you search for conversion economics 101 and Unbounce, there's a nice little table in there that kind of helps demonstrate the potential benefit from when you're using landing pages and optimizing them. That's the kind of thing that's useful for convincing people. Actually, I think also if you search for wider funnel, Chris Garrett, I think, has written a piece based on that. Again, if you email me, I can probably dig out a few resources for that.
Very cool. Yeah, I want to share an experience I had recently, which was we did some analysis of clients' landing pages, and we decided that the headlines were pretty brand heavy and didn't speak to the benefits of the product or align with our ad text. And we got a pretty firm no on the client wanting to test those headlines because they were so convinced by well, this is a brand and we have a trademark on it, and we really don't want to change from that because we're worried, we're not using our trademark. And it's one of those things where it's down to you as the account manager or the client manager to provide the information to the client that will convince them otherwise. So that could be doing a thorough analysis. So a lot of the things Ollie looked at, right? Maybe you're going to show them like the specific problems and how you've rated, perhaps the table he put together, kind of doing the score out of 24. Perhaps it's doing the highlighting of all the links out where you show, hey, your attention ratio is really bad here. Here's a wireframe I've designed with a really good attention ratio. Here's some supporting documentation from case studies or whatever that shows that having a lower attention ratio is much better. We can run this on 10% of your traffic if you're nervous about it, and do it that way. So it's about small steps, getting buy-in, and also doing the work beforehand to make sure that you build a little bit of trust, and that the client starts to trust your expertise.
Yeah, that's a really good point about just doing a little bit of traffic. Yeah, that's a smart way of doing it. Mitigate the risk, and so it's not quite so scary for your client or your boss.
Very cool. So it looks like we just hit 2 o'clock, which means we're out of time. I want to say a big thanks to Ollie at Unbounce, who you can email right there, ollie@unbounce.com. And also, if you have any feedback on our webinars at all, or want to get in touch with us about an account review, then just email us at marketing@hanapinmarketing.com. Thanks very much. I'm Sam
Yeah,
Owen, and I hope you'll join us on our next webinar.
thanks for having me on, Sam.
Thanks, Ollie. Bye.